As we look ahead to Tuesday, January 13th, we find ourselves standing at the edge of several fault lines that seem ready to crack open at once. We are not claiming certainty here, only tracing the shape of what might come next based on what we know, what has been hinted at, and what feels emotionally inevitable. This is a story of suspicion, protection, ambition, and fear, all colliding in Port Charles. From Tracy's simmering anger to Sonny's dangerous loyalty, each thread appears to tighten rather than loosen. And we can feel how one wrong move could set off a chain reaction no one can stop. We begin with Tracy, because everything about her energy suggests she is no longer content to sit back and observe. We suspect Tracy has turned her attention squarely toward Martin, and not without reason. In our view, Tracy has likely pieced together that Martin overheard something he was never meant to hear and, worse, allowed that information to travel. The exposure of Tracy and Michael's secret did not happen by accident. Tracy is not someone who believes in coincidences, especially when the stakes are this high. Possibly she has replayed the sequence of events over and over, identifying Martin as the weak link, the person who smiled politely while storing ammunition for later use. If Tracy believes Martin's loose lips are the reason her carefully guarded truth exploded into the open, forgiveness will not be part of the equation. We imagine Tracy confronting Martin not with shouting, but with precision, each word sharpened by betrayal. A war between them feels not only possible, but likely, one built on verbal traps, legal pressure, and emotional leverage. Tracy does not attack unless she is prepared to finish the fight, and we think Martin may soon realize he underestimated her resolve. As Tracy's conflict brews, Alexis finds herself pulled into a very different kind of confrontation, one that tests her ethics as much as her loyalty. Kai and Trina seek her out, not by accident, but by choice, which already tells us how heavy the secret they carry must feel. They come armed with the knowledge that Willow was the one who shot Drew, and in their minds, truth demands to be spoken. But Alexis is not operating from a place of idealism. She is operating from strategy. We believe Alexis will refuse to accept their revelation as something that can be acted upon openly. She is already moving closer to securing Willow's freedom, and anything that disrupts that path is a threat she will neutralize. We suspect Alexis will listen carefully, let Kai and Trina speak, and then draw a firm line. She will likely insist that silence is not optional. In fact, hypothetically, she may go so far as to threaten them, not out of cruelty, but out of calculation. Alexis understands the law, but she also understands how fragile lives can be when truth is mishandled. We think she will make it clear that if Willow's secret escapes their lips, consequences will follow. By the end of this arc, we still believe Willow walks free, though even we admit uncertainty lingers. Freedom may come, but not without moral cost. Meanwhile, suspicion shifts toward Michael, who now stands in the uncomfortable position of being a plausible fall guy. The idea that Michael could be convicted of shooting Drew hangs in the air, heavy but unstable. We do not think the police will ultimately arrest him for that crime. Instead, the danger seems to lie elsewhere. Alexis' maneuvers, while designed to protect Willow, may inadvertently expose Michael to accusations of perjury. We imagine Michael preparing for this possibility, quietly assembling his defense, choosing his words carefully, and deciding how much truth he can afford to reveal. Being arrested for lying under oath may not carry the same weight as attempted murder, but it still threatens his freedom and reputation. We believe Michael will adapt quickly, because survival has always required flexibility in Port Charles. The charge of perjury feels like a compromise the system might settle for, a way to claim justice without touching the deeper, messier truth. Jacinda's path intersects with Michael's at a surprising emotional angle. We sense that Jacinda is driven by a need to atone, to balance the scales after the damage she caused him. Her actions appear motivated not by strategy, but by guilt and perhaps affection. We suspect she will make a genuine effort to make things right, offering help where she once caused harm. What surprises us is Michael's response. Rather than holding on to resentment, he seems inclined to forgive quickly, even warmly. Possibly this forgiveness goes beyond gratitude. There's signs, subtle but persistent, that Michael may be treating Jacinda less like a former adversary and more like a real partner. Hypothetically, he may even be falling in love with her, or already has without admitting it to himself. This connection could become both a refuge and a vulnerability, especially if Jacinda's past resurfaces at the wrong moment. Nina's internal struggle unfolds more quietly, but no less intensely. She listens to Willow, absorbs her words, and begins to connect dots she wishes did not align. We think Nina is starting to suspect that her daughter pulled the trigger that nearly killed Drew. This realization, if true, would devastate her. But Nina is not someone who collapses under emotional weight. Instead, she prioritizes protection, regardless of what she believes. We are convinced Nina will choose silence. She will guard Willow's secret fiercely, even if it means living with doubt and fear. In Nina's world, a mother's duty overrides all other obligations, including truth and justice. Then there is Sonny, whose shadow looms over every storyline whether he speaks or not. We sense he is preparing to do something reckless, something only he would justify as necessary. Sonny's loyalty to Michael is absolute. In his eyes, Michael's freedom matters more than guilt or innocence. We believe Sonny is already laying groundwork to ensure Michael avoids punishment, using influence, intimidation, or negotiation. It seems likely he will seek out Drew himself. This meeting could take many forms, from a veiled threat to a businesslike proposal. But the underlying message will be clear. Sonny is willing to cross lines to protect his own. That willingness is what makes him dangerous. As we reach the end of these predictions, we remind ourselves and the fans that this is speculation, not fact. These are the paths we see opening, not guarantees of where the story will go. Port Charles has a way of surprising even the most careful observers. We offer these thoughts as possibilities, nothing more. Viewers should weigh them, question them, and watch with open eyes rather than fixed expectations. Thank you to the fans who share this journey with us, and we will all find out together what truly unfolds next.